Hello, Uggies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today we're going to look at a radio called the Retevis RT-85. This is a new radio. It's out on the market. It's a very simple, very plain FM only dual band on 2 meters and 70 centimeters, and it's an FM radio. I just want to go over some of the features, and I also have a check set up over here where we can look at spectral purity and see if the thing is doing what it's supposed to be doing. Okay, so let's dig in. This is what came. This is the Retevis right here, two-way radio. It comes with, these are warnings, in other words, things not to do. If you've got a microscope, you can read that. This is the user's manual that is in 5 languages: English, French, German, Italian, and Spanish, of all things. So this could be a North American distribution. I know they like to make things the same for all the world, but this is an American distribution here. Here is the radio itself. It's got a little thing you can pull off here so that you can get your, see the screen a little bit better. And here's your thingy that goes in here, so you've got something to hold on. By the way, I do recommend putting these on, and you put this around your hand while you're using the radio, and then there's a lot less chance that you'll drop it if you're riding in a balloon or something that's important. Okay, here's the battery. The battery comes only partially charged. To put this battery on, you have to put this over the hooks on the bottom, which means this thing's going to have to be pushed down, and then it will go on, and you heard that little snap. Here's the antenna that just comes with the one antenna, not a very big one. And now note that this is the male on the antenna and the female on the radio. So we're careful to put that on there without bending that center pin. Now we have a plug-in charger. There's no 12-volt charger. It's only a plug-in type of a charger. And here's a little belt clip for you. Now, as it turns out, they sent me 2 of them, so the other one's already set up for testing. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the radio itself. It's 2 meters 70 centimeter, and as far as I can tell, you cannot make it transmit out of the ham bands. So this right here, I would rather, instead of analog two-way radio, see analog two-way ham radio or amateur radio or license required or something like that. Okay, there is a little flashlight on the thing here. Let's turn it on. There is a little flashlight that's useful. I really think it's a good idea to put the flashlight on the radio, because if you're in the dark, flashlight's something you want to have. This is the Money button. This will cancel the squelch so you can hear anything in the background. This is the push to talk. Now it comes in here. There is not a frequency knob at the top, so you have to go through the channels by pushing this, and you can also go to a channel by pushing here.
1, 2.
Let's see, that puts it at 1 to
9.
13. Oh well. So you can play with that and get that used to a little bit. It has all the features that you would expect in a simple FM radio. Dual band, dual display, dual standby. Now, dual standby actually means it doesn't listen to 2 frequencies simultaneously. It's constantly switching back and forth between them, and then it will stick on one. So you can have two frequencies in there you want on dual standby. Dot matrix LCD, pretty basic. AB band independent operation. So AB changes not between 2 meters and 70 centimeters, but rather the top VFO or the bottom VFO. There's up to 200 channels for storage and scanning. That's a lot for most people. Now note that since there's no button up here, there's no bank concept where you can go to a bank and get a few. It will do FM radio. This is broadcast radio, 24 station memory for you that you can put your broadcast band frequencies in here. Wide, middle, narrow band selectable, select narrow for ham radio. I'm sorry, scratch that, take that little part out. Wide, middle, narrow band selectable, choose for ham radio, wideband, okay? Unless your repeater owner tells you otherwise. It has a Vox, a voice-operated relay. I don't recommend using that. You can put CTCSS tones in here, which are useful in the United States. The DCS is not used in the US. It has scanning. You can scan between the bands. You can also set a particular channel so that it gets skipped by the scanning. The 1750 Hertz tone is useful in Europe. Shortcut menu operation mode for the first 10 menu items. You punch function and then the number between 1 and 9 for those. An emergency alert, it makes some sort of a noise. It does do DTMF. Okay, that's dual tone multi-frequency, or what is often called touch tone. If you're using an auto patch, for example, there are very few auto patches left. It's not even worth looking at. Remote stun kill activate is I don't know, it's sort of a leftover from DMR. We don't use that in the United States. We don't use ANI. We don't use scramblers. Scrambler actually is illegal in the US, although it is legal in Canada. The 2.5 tone is for this same kind of thing up here, a DCS, which allows you to get some privacy on your channel. The CTCSS is what we use in the US. Multi-types for key lock setting and a multi-display mode. Okay, so there are not that many pages in the American manual. Let's see. This is French. So here we are, just these few pages for the American. And it tells you how to do things from the menu. And it also shows using Chirp or something like that to program this thing. As it turns out, Chirp has a new modification that you can use to program this. So I'm going to show you the programming. First of all, there is no programming cable included. So you're going to have to get a separate programming cable. You may have it from another radio. The programming cable that I use is the so-called red cable from, Osheng. It says it's Sapats Win 10. This cable comes from PowerWorks. Okay, it's $17 or $18. It's the standard Kenwood style cable. Okay, so if you have a programming cable that has those on the ends, it may well work for you. I know that this one works. This does not have the, you think here for a minute, offline of course. It does not have the prolific chip in it. It has a Silicon Labs chip in it. There is and always has been a problem with the prolific chip because the earlier prolific chips were counterfeited widely. And so Prolific has worked with computer makers to block those old drivers for that, and Prolific has abandoned that old chip style. The newer Prolific work fine. Okay, so you plug this into a USB port. Okay, then you come down over here to the start button, right click on it, and go to Device Manager. Okay, and it comes up with all the devices. Go to Ports, COM, and LPD. Communications port 1 happens to be used to talk to my ICOM. This is Silicon Labs. This is the one that we're looking at, the Silicon Labs. That's this red one. And it's COM4. All we need to know is that it is COM4. So let's put this in here. Now note it goes upside down and push it all the way in. The radio has to be on, not just on, but on a little bit, because this uses audio tones over the cable. Okay, and let me start with a new file here. We go to radio, download from radio. This is Chirp. Chirp comes from chirp.danplanet.com. Let's just do that. Let's just go there before we get into it. Okay, Chirp. Oops. Chirp@danplanet.com. Okay, and this is the programming software that's used by all of these radios. A lot of the Chinese radios are saying just use Chirp because it's free. Now, if we go into Retevis, we find that the RT-85 is listed there. Okay, so you can download Chirp easily enough by just clicking on Get It. You can donate if you want to, but you click here to download the latest Windows version, and then it highlights Chirp Deley. Note that it's 2022-01, January 15th. Well, it turns out that was 2 days ago. So that's an updated installer. I have already installed it, so let's just go to it. And this is Chirp. We set for COM4. Remember, that's the right one. Vendor Retevis RT-85, and then OK. And it will bring down. This is downloading from the radio, and there we go. Retevis 85, there we go. You can have multiple radios up here. Let's just get rid of these bad ones. Okay, here it is. We can save it. I modified this a little bit. You've got the location is the channel, and the channel goes up to 200. 1 to, well, 199. Okay, that's pretty close. Now, you put the frequency, this is the receive frequency. You can name the channel, like I named this one APRS. Now, it comes loaded with a bunch of 2 meter and 70 centimeter channels to show you different ways you can put in tone squelches and stuff like that. Note the wideband FM, widely used in ham radio. I made that narrow band. So if I come over here, right click and go to properties, I have over here this one where I can make this wideband FM, which is what we want for ham radio. Okay. Now I put this frequency right here because it's out of band. I wanted to see if it would transmit out of band. I didn't give it a name. Now the tone, there's nothing in here to indicate whether the tone is used. Okay, so it's not used. So it doesn't matter what you put in here, tone squelch or DTC squelch. or the codes or anything over here if the tone column is blank. You can do cross mode here. Duplex is for a repeater, and the offset goes in here. The mode for FM, low, high power, and skip. Now what the skip does, if we pick one here and just check the properties, the skip down here, you can either do nothing or a skip. If you put the skip in there, that means when you scan, you'll skip that channel. The reason you might want to do that is if, for example, you've got a weather station or something like that put in there. Okay, so let's take a look at what we've done right now. We'll just go ahead and upload it to the radio. Upload to radio, COM4, okay. And it is an early beta driver, but it does work. Now, before we leave this page, I want to mention there is another page with all different kinds of settings. You can set just about anything on here. Okay, so just for kicks, let's see if it'll do this. I'm going to put in KE0OG right there. Okay, come back up here, radio, upload to radio, upload. Okay, it's cloning up to the radio. All right, now let's just, now that it's done, this is done. And with Chirp, of course, you can save this is done here. We'll take that out, turn this off, and turn it on. And it's got my call sign on there, KE0OG, and then it goes to these. Now, let's go.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ooh, I put 141 in there, but it wouldn't put a 141 into the radio. It put 144. Let's see if that's true. This right here is a spectrum analyzer, and we're going to transmit on a 2-meter frequency into this loop here. And this is 140, 141, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So the actual band is from 144 to 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the ham band right there. So let's go ahead and press this, and we see that it comes in right on 144, even though we tried to put in a 145. It wouldn't let us. Okay, and we can tune up the band.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oops, let's just go to 8. This should be 145, and 145.637. Right there in the middle is 145, and it's about 6/10 of the way over. Okay, so it appears to be nicely accurate. Now, if we change this here and go back to, see, the start frequency of 0 hertz. Okay, this starts now at 0 hertz and goes up to 1.5 gigahertz. Okay, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 graduations in here. So each graduation is 150 megahertz. So let's see what this does on 2 meters. It's got a nice signal right there just below 150 megahertz, 140, okay? Now, there are no out-of-band things popping up in here. Let's switch this over to a 70 centimeter, and we note here that's 1.53, 450, just under 450. This is 434 coming up there, and that's right. And notice we aren't getting any crud over here from poor output. So let's go back here and just do a little review. Just by going through the battery, does not come attached. You have to put it in. And then there's a little belt clip, which I never use. And you note that the cable goes in this way. However, this thing comes with the body, the antenna, the battery, the charger, the belt clip, and these other things are somewhat optional, although you've got the charger, but a charger that can work from 12 volts. You can also get a bigger battery. This is a 1.4 amp hour battery, or a different type of adapter. Okay, does not come with programming cable. So I would recommend that you get that, because it's so much easier to program with that. It will work in either channel mode or direct entry mode. It actually, and this is something I've seen left out of manuals, it shows what the items on the screen mean. Okay. Okay, and the set menu mode, all the different things you can set. It is possible to set the channel in here using just the front panel, but it's not easy. These are the classic US CTCSS tone frequencies. A lot of repeaters need a tone entry. It's often either 100 hertz or 107.2 hertz, but it could be any one of these. Now, what that will do is it will stop random noise bursts from opening the repeater. And so the CTSS is for that. On receive, you can use it so that you only receive from certain people if you're doing simplex. The DCS codes are not used in the United States. Now, the software here is actually the Retevis software, which you can download if you want. I would recommend Chirp. It's just so much easier. Okay, some of the technical specifications, 200 channels. That's an awful lot without being able to put them in different banks. 7.4 DC, as is true for all Chinese radios. Operating temperature, don't let it get too cold. The weight, dimensions, frequencies. Now, it says 136 to 174, 400 to 480, but it doesn't do that. It only works on the ham frequencies. It will ignore any other frequency entry. Power 5 watts. Well, there's actually low, medium, and high power on this thing. Okay. And these are just, let's see, receiver. Okay, the transmitter and receiver are two different things. You might be able to put like a weather station in the repeater, and that's the end of the instruction book. It goes into French from there. So what do we have in terms of this radio? Let's take a look at the price on Amazon. Okay, Retevis. Okay, there are lots of ways you can buy this. RT-85. Okay, here's the single RT-85 right here. All right, at $34.99. So it is an inexpensive radio, but you are getting a radio that has reasonably pure output and is not stepping on all sorts of other services. Okay, and it tells you different things it can do. Again, I do like that flashlight. Now, you can buy them in different ways. Let's go back to the Retevis 85 page here. And Retevis 85 here, buy a pair of them. Retevis 85, you can get 4 of them for $129. This is something that you might look at for a club purchase. Now, note what it says, Rescue Construction Warehouse. The Retevis 85, as far as I can tell, will not transmit outside the ham band. So this is what I would say misleading. It should say ham radio. Okay? They've got all kinds of handhelds. All right, here, so here's the 85 different packages that you can get. When I was corresponding with the gal from China who asked me if I would like to get a couple of these and test them, I said, yeah, sure, but only if they only operate in the ham bands. She assured me that was the case, although that's different from what it says on Amazon. But I would encourage you, since they have shown and we have seen here, it only works on the ham band. This might be a good little extra handheld. It doesn't have any fancy features. It's FM only. It doesn't do any digital. It has 3 power levels, which I have yet to find, but they're usually 1, 5, and 10 watts. So I would recommend against using the 10 watt. I would recommend against holding the thing up to your head right here, because this is capable of being fried up there, and then the whole point is you want to keep the 2 meter away from you. What a lot of police and firemen do is they'll grab the radio this way by the side and transmit down here. Okay, that way the transmitter is away from the parts of the head that have a chance of having problems with RF. In any case, there is no record that I know of any ham having radio frequency induced medical problems. So of course, if you have a pacemaker, check your doctor's recommendation on power and frequency levels that you can use. Note that since it has a reversible or a removable antenna, you can actually connect an adapter to this, and then you can connect that to coax and use like a J-pole or something on the roof and vastly extend the range of the antenna. That's usually the first thing people do with something like that. So there you have it, a nice simple radio. It's a very nice little radio that is doesn't cost very much money, so its shortcomings don't really matter very much. If it breaks, just throw it away. So there you go, there you have it. And until next time, 73.